All right, let's dive into a pretty major story that's been making waves, big shock waves, really, through the entertainment world.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking about a huge lawsuit, multi-million dollars, with some really, really disturbing allegations.
Exactly, against a very well-known music figure. So our deep dive today is unpacking this explosive $20 million lawsuit. It's filed against the Grammy nominee, rapper Fat Joe.
And it's filed by his former hype man, Terrance T.A. Dixon.
That's the one. Now, for our breakdown, we're relying directly on court documents. Page 6 got hold of them. And we also have statements from the legal teams involved.
Right, the primary sources.
So our mission here is really to give you, the listener, a clear, kind of concise look at everything. The serious accusations, the very specific claims, and also the really strong denials from Fat Joe's side.
It's complicated. Lots of layers.
It really is. And we're going to try and peel those back for you, show you the details, the arguments, the counter-arguments, so you can navigate this whole high-stakes legal thing with a good grasp of the facts.
Okay.
So let's get right to the core of it. The lawsuit itself, filed by Terrance Dixon, T.A., Fat Joe's hype man from, what was it, 2006 to 2019?
Mm-hmm.
Long time.
Yeah, over a decade. And he's asking for $20 million. That's a significant sum.
It is. And the main claim, the really shocking one in these court documents, Dixon says he, quote, personally witnessed Fat Joe engage in sexual relations with children who were 15 and 16 years old.
Wow. And, that specific phrase, personally witnessed, that's legally very potent.
Now so.
Well, it moves it beyond hearsay. It's an eyewitness claim, but it immediately puts Dixon's own credibility front and center.
Right.
The whole case could hinge on whether he's believed.
Right. So they'll be scrutinizing him just as much as the allegations themselves.
Exactly. His motives, his history with Fat Joe, everything comes into play. Fat Joe's lawyers will absolutely zero in on that.
Okay, that makes sense. And Dixon's lawsuit, it doesn't just leave it there. It gets incredibly specific about these alleged instances. For example, one allegation involves a 16-year-old Dominican female. The court docs claim she'd perform oral sex and other sexual acts on Fat Joe, allegedly.
And was there anything mentioned about, why or what was exchanged?
Yeah, the documents allege it was in exchange for things like cash, clothing, and payment of her cell phone bill.
Okay, specific details again.
Very specific. And then there's more. A second alleged victim, a 15-year-old Caucasian girl. Apparently not from the U.S.
15.
Fat Joe, who's 54 now, allegedly met her after a concert overseas. The suit claims he then flew her to New York City and Miami multiple times.
Okay. Travel involved. That often leaves a paper trail, potentially.
Potentially. And here's a really startling detail in the lawsuit. Dixon claims Fat Joe paid for this girl to get a Brazilian butt lift.
Paid for cosmetic surgery. For a minor.
That's the allegation. The lawsuit even states her body wasn't fully developed as a woman. That's a direct quote from the filing.
That is quite an accusation.
It is. And the court documents also mention that this girl eventually left Fat Joe and is apparently now married to a professional athlete.
So they're providing some kind of outcome or alleged outcome to that situation.
Seems like it. Then there's the third alleged victim mentioned, a Latina girl. Dixon claims Fat Joe met her when she was 15. He would have been in his late 30s at the time.
Another minor, allegedly.
Yes. And this one adds another dimension. The filing claims Fat Joe, the What's Love rapper, was in love with her.
In love.
That's the claim. And that he even considered leaving his wife, Lorena Cartagena, for this girl.
Okay, that suggests a deeper alleged involvement than the previous claims.
It does. And it continues. Alleging Fat Joe, whose real name is Joseph Antonio Cartagena, would pay her bills, take her on tour overseas.
So financial support again, the similar pattern alleged.
Exactly. And it even alleges living arrangements. Quote, he brought her to Florida and would put her up in a condo he rented a few blocks from his house with his wife.
Wow. Renting a condo nearby. That's incredibly specific. Again, these details are painting a very particular picture.
They really are. And it's not just these sexual misconduct allegations, right?
Yeah.
Dixon's lawsuit casts a wider net.
Yeah, I saw that. What else is in there?
He's accusing Fat Joe of, let me get the list, coercive labor exploitation, financial fraud, sexual manipulation, violent intimidation, and psychological coercion. It's a lot.
So it's broader than just the most shocking claims. It includes professional grievances, too.
Definitely. Dixon claims he was always underpaid, denied songwriting credits, and basically kept in the dark about royalties and back-end compensation he felt he was owed.
Right. He describes himself pretty broadly in the suit, doesn't he? Not just a hype man.
Yeah, he calls himself a lyricist, background vocalist, security team member, and creative collaborator. so painting himself as integral to the operation.
Okay. And it's important to note he's not just suing Fat Joe, is he?
No, good point. The lawsuit also names Pete, Pistol Pete, Torres, Richard Rich Player, Jospiter, Eric and Juliana Morera, Sneaker Addict, Touring LLC, Slate Inc., and even Rock Nation LLC.
Rock Nation, too. Okay, so he's aiming wide. That suggests he believes others were involved or complicit, or at least the entities he worked under.
That seems to be the implication. Now, on the flip side, Fat Joe's response.
He's denying everything, right? Vehemently.
Vehemently is the word his team used, yes.
Mm.
His lawyer, Joe Tacopina, a pretty well-known attorney, he's come out swinging.
What's his main line of attack?
He's going after Dixon's lawyer, Tyrone Blackburn. Tacopina alleges that Blackburn has a history of, quote, improperly filing cases in federal court to garner media attention, embarrass defendants with salacious allegations, and trust defenses.
So attacking the lawyer's tactics and reputation, that's a common legal strategy.
Tacopina also claims Blackburn's gotten warnings from judges before for filings full of inaccurate statements of law, irrelevant insults, misstatements, and exaggerations, basically painting him as unprofessional.
Trying to undermine the whole case by discrediting the person who filed it.
And directly addressing the allegations, Tacopina says he's actually spoken to the women Dixon named as victims.
Oh, really? What did they supposedly say?
According to Tacopina, they've denied any wrongdoing by Fat Joe. He even claimed, some of them said they don't even know Fat Joe.
Okay, that's a direct contradiction. If true, that could be very damaging to Dixon's case. But it's still Tacopina's claim at this stage.
Absolutely. It's his assertion. Now, adding another twist here, Fat Joe actually sued Dixon first.
Oh, I remember hearing about that. Back in May, right? Before this $20 M suit dropped.
Exactly. That earlier lawsuit came after Dixon apparently called Fat Joe a pedophile on social media.
So Fat Joe went on the offensive preemptively.
Seems like it. And in that suit, Fat Joe's position is clear. He says Dixon's allegations are just a money grab. Pure and simple.
The classic motive accusation.
Right. Fat Joe's filing paints a picture of him being generous to Dixon, saying Dixon, enjoyed the perquisites of touring, luxurious travel, and other fringe benefits, basically saying he had it good.
Trying to establish that Dixon had no reason to complain financially back then.
And he also alleges that since they, quote, amicably parted ways 6 years ago, Dixon apparently never raised any issues or sought any additional compensation until now.
Interesting timing then.